Yeah.
Talk Radio, your door to the spirit world. Here's your chance to talk ghosts, spirits, psychics, and everything paranormal. For more information, go to www.portaltalkradio.com. Now, Portal Paranormal Talk Radio brings you your hosts.
Welcome to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
How are you, Angela?
I'm fine, Tuesday Miles. How about you?
I'm okay. I was actually great till about half an hour ago, and then all of a sudden I started getting a lot of visitations, and I thought, what the heck does that mean? Because we're having Rita Berkowitz on the show today.
You know, it could be, because Rita, not only is she a psychic medium, but she draws portraits of the dead.
You know what, those portraits, I went and checked them out again today, and those portraits are amazing.
I know, they are amazing.
They're creepy amazing. I mean, here the fact is that never seen this person before. Here you have the spirit come in, and you're able to draw almost a likeness that is just uncanny of these spirits that are coming through for messages.
Do you think that Rita sees the spirits all of the time like that in such detail?
Well, I have a feeling this might also have to do with, what automatic writing is where it's almost like the hand is being controlled by spirit itself.
Right.
And
we're going to have to ask her that.
We'll have to ask her that because, in the form of that, they say that's, of course, that's using a big tool, which is fine. I mean, she's very successful at it. But, it's just very unique. There's only another couple who I know that does this, and so I have to say that there's two people that I know of so far in the world that does this.
Well, that's very unique to be two people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even if there's 50 in the world, it's still very, very unique.
Yes, it is. It's very, very unique. We'll bring her in at the bottom of the first hour.
Well, one of our visitors in the virtual auditorium on Pal Talk, Sassy Cat, is saying they're lining up for portraits Tuesday.
Oh, I swear, I am too. I am too, and see, here's the thing about it, you guys. Even though we're the hosts, you would think that we would have first dibs on having this done, and usually we don't. We don't get in line for our guests to do readings for us. We'd like to.
Absolutely.
Oh boy, we'd like to. I mean, we've had a couple of really, world-renowned psychics and mediums on the show. And do you think Angela and I wanted to go first in line? Oh yes.
Oh yes. Maybe we could make it a requirement.
Oh, we must do that. Absolutely. I mean, hey, why not? We should get on first, huh? Well, I'm sure that we'll be pushed out of the way big time on that one. So, on that note, can you remind our listeners where they can also tune in at, Angela?
Well, certainly, Tuesday. Well, if you are listening to the show, you may also wish to visit our website at portaltalkradio.com to learn more about today's guest, Rita Berkowitz. Now, Rita is a psychic medium whose unique abilities include drawing portraits of those in the spirit world. She is also the co-author of The Complete Idiot's Guide to Communicating with Spirits and also Empowering Your Life with Angels. Rita will be joining us on the half-hour break, and she will be offering a few readings. So feel free to call in, toll-free, 877-786-0562, or join us on paltalk.com in the Paranormal Radio Network room under the Social Issues Other category.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Angela, on that. I always say you do a good job on that.
Well, thank you, darling.
So, new this week, real quickly, we had a couple of things that I was going to comment on. We usually have an hour between you and I in the beginning of the show. We haven't had that lately. So, but just quickly, though, and I wanted to make a quick comment about the Pope. And if anybody else heard the Pope speak the other day on the news and said that, he made a comment about God does not have anything to do with the world and how it is. And if we want to make the world a better place, it's up to us to do that. And I couldn't believe, I thought, wait a minute here, that's really an odd comment from the Pope to say that God doesn't have much to do with the world and how it's screwed up, but the fact that it is, if we want to make it any better, it's up to us. And, you know, Angela, I kind of thought, you know, maybe it's time people start taking a little bit more responsibility for themselves. Do we still need to rely on God to help? Do we still need to rely on that supernatural sources that are out there to make things better, or do we really need to start looking at it ourselves?
Well, first of all, whoever wrote that comment for the Pope should have rewritten it a little bit better, because God does have everything to do with the world. I believe what the Pope was referring to Tuesday was the fact that there is free will. Everyone has free will. And so God is not going to, jump in front of them and say, stop, you're about to make a mistake. But God does have, angels and all sorts of ways to intercede for us. Thank goodness we do have Him to watch over and protect us. But free will is very important. So if those choose to go down a wrong path or, make a bend in the road when they should not, then, of course, there are consequences.
Okay, well, I think we should have been able to see a little bit more of those consequences come into play right away instead of later on.
Well, perhaps we ought to rely on the state, or the states, I should say, in the United States,
to
change up some of their laws so that consequences for those who do, let's say, some evil acts would indeed pay for it. But, of course, that's another topic.
Now, Sassy Cat, let's read what Sassy Cat said. She says, and I'm in the virtual auditorium, and for those of you who are joining us there, thank you for joining us, and how are you? I've always felt like God, Goddesses, Universe, Spirit, thank you for including all of those, Sassy Cat, whatever presents the opportunity we choose to do or not to do. And, you know what, I'm going to agree with her on that one. Actually, it's a choice in that aspect of it, and, I'm still going to say, don't put off, what you can do today to put it off to do it tomorrow. All days count, all hours count, and what you do. And why put off something that you can accomplish today in that good nature, and wait till tomorrow comes, because, we don't know when our tomorrows are going to be here, and if they are indeed.
Well, Tuesday, I have my own saying, and that is, there are no tomorrows. And that comment really encourages others to act on their feelings or act on things today, the good things, the good behavior, because we don't know. We don't know how long we are in this world or our loved ones that are in this world. So there are no tomorrows.
That is very true, Angela. That was well put. Thank you for that. And let's see, what's in our other news? Have you received these Google alerts about Hellboy?
Well, I've seen Hellboy, but I haven't, to be quite honest. I've been too busy to go click on the link.
Oh, holy smokes. They have been doing nothing but promoting this little movie. I believe the fact is that there was an interview that was, or Jason and Grant, who's from the Ghost Hunters television series on cable network, has been had done something with them on the set. Now, don't quote me on that, because I believe I'm right with that, but just to make sure. But anyways, they have promoted this underneath the paranormal. Now, mind you, they have put this fantasy show underneath the paranormal realm, where they consider it paranormal. I'm sorry, but I just don't feel it's paranormal. The fact it is, it's fantasy. And why they decided to put it underneath the paranormal title and send out a million Google alerts, I don't know, but I'm tired of it. They can move on from it.
Okay, so let me understand. TAPS has something to do with Hellboy, is that correct?
Well, no, this is Jason and Grant, this is Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson, who are the stars of Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
They do have something to do with the show. Maybe that's the reason why they put it underneath paranormal, but it's kind of bored me to death about it.
Well, I mean, is Hellboy. Does that have anything to do with the paranormal, ghosts, spirits, paranormal?
In a fantasy way, yeah.
In a fantasy way.
Well, I would think so. I'd say it is. I guess it's it's going to be one of those popular movies for the summer that's out there. So.
And we're helping to promote it on Portal.
So maybe we can just finish off our promoting here, huh? Yeah, Paranormal Entertainment, as Tall Wolf said. Yep, that's
well,
true.
Speaking of TAPS, let me ask you something. Is not TAPS joining up with Dave Schrader of Darkness Radio to go to the Louisville, Kentucky, Waverly Hills Sanitarium?
You know, I have to say this, you know, and I don't mind giving a plug for Dave, but you know what? He puts on some really awesome events. He really does. I've been to a couple of his events, and, you know, he's got them really well organized. He's got them where you have a lot of fun, you get a lot of experience ghost hunting. You're working with all the you know, world-renowned stars or world-renowned experts in the paranormal, and you know, it's not a real big fee for exactly what you get. You know, really it isn't. So, you know, you can go to Darkness Radio and check out their site. There's a lot of information on if you can't meet with the Waverly event, then there's a lot of other events that there's coming up. They just finished one out in Canada. And I know that they're having one out in the Queen Mary in California, and there's, you know, it's just, they're actually spread out and all over the place.
Right, right. Well, I believe, if I understood it correctly, that July 27th through the 30th is what starts the Waverly Hills. It's a haunted sanitarium, so you can imagine, you know, a sanitarium back in the day, Tuesday. Ooh,
I know it.
What kind of souls and spirits that are bound to such a place.
And, you know, when you have a place that's really, you know, when you don't have some live activity going in there, well, what I mean with live persons constantly inside of a place, it's really different than it is when it's abandoned and when it's an active, you know, place where you have people constantly going through there. There really is a difference between the hauntings. You know, you have ghosts that are actually gone crazy because the fact is that nobody's there to keep them in check. Ghosts don't like to be around a lot of people at one time. They don't like, you know, they really do kind of try to hang back in the shadows. That's why they always say the haunting hours are late at night, because there really isn't active then. People aren't, you know, trekking through the place. But the fact of it is, this has been an abandoned establishment for a long time, and, you know, you're not just going to get your regular human ghosts there. There's all kinds of really bizarre kind of paranormal phenomena going on in that place.
Well, you know, I often go down to a historical district of St. Charles, Missouri. And St. Charles, Missouri is an old French settlement. In fact, it was the first French settlement in the state. And, of course, they have retail shops and things of that nature. Very, very nice. But I went down there and interviewed a few people and asked them about their activity in the place. And one couple told me that their shop at nighttime, their items gets tossed around.
Oh, well, that would be a pain in the
Doesn't happen during the day. It gets tossed around at night, and when they come in every single morning to open shop, the place is littered with their products.
That would be quite interesting to do. You should investigate that, Angela.
Well, I intend to.
You know, I mean,
then I want to hop over to the Lindenwood University, because they do have a Seton Hall, they call it, and the upstairs portion has been closed off to people, you know, living there. They can't go up there. They can't access it because they say the activity is so high.
I like that. I'm not afraid at all to go into a place for myself, even though I don't recommend this to anybody. You know, I would not go to the location by myself, but the fact of it is that I would walk through by myself on it, but never do investigating by yourself.
Exactly.
That's a no-no.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, because you just don't know what's there. And the fact is that many people have been hurt, not by the spirits, but the fact that you're so afraid that you're kind of out of your mind. And more people get hurt that way because of the fact is, yeah, we're talking about ghosts, eternal being. Ghost, But the fact is that if you're going to investigate by yourself, that's crazy. That's just looking for trouble.
I agree with you, and you never know what type of spirits there are, Tuesday. So, you know, we can't say that all spirits are good spirits, so we don't know if there's poltergeist or, you know, what sort of activity goes on into a place. So really never go in by yourself.
No, I suggest that you don't on it. It really, you know, it's good to always go with a buddy, and that's with anything that you do. You always want to make sure you have a buddy, and you always want to make sure you have permission to be on the, you know, the property itself too. I mean, I can say that I've known a few that's thrown in the slammer because they were trespassing, and that's just not polite. It really isn't. You need to gain permission from the you know, owners of the establishment. You know, first and foremost, you know, you just don't want to get yourself in trouble with the law.
So Tuesday, let me ask you a question. Here tonight you have, 30, 40 spirits behind you?
Yeah, I have quite a bit behind me tonight, actually. And, it drives me crazy sometimes because sometimes, with me, I'm also not only a medium, but I also have my empath. And so I'm smelling. I was telling you earlier that I keep smelling the ocean. I also feel like I keep tasting clams or fish taste, like kind of. And I'm having a little bit trouble of breathing. I feel like my breathing is labored a little bit from one of them. So I've actually asked them a couple times to step back away from me because I'm feeling that I can't catch my breath all the way, like and it's not my health on it. It's definitely being affected by something that's behind me.
Well, if you were there by yourself, would you feel differently? In other words, if you did not have a family that shared the home with you, would you be afraid, even though you are a psychic medium, would you be afraid that all of the spirits that, come and go out of your house, would it be a different story?
You know what, Angela, many, many, many years ago, that I would have said yes. Today, I would say no. Because generally there's nothing really that's bad happened to me. There's nothing that's really hurt me. Sometimes it gets a little confusing and it gets a little bit overwhelming. But, here's the thing. You don't want to hurt the person who's going to help you with communication.
Right.
And so, like us living, I mean, the fact is that here they are searching for a person. The fact is maybe they have an important message they want to, give to myself, maybe to relate to somebody else, whether I connect with that person or not, but just the fact is they want to be seen or heard. They do get a little pushy sometimes, not with me, but so much within themselves. They get a little bit pushy with each other. And I've seen that. I've seen them bully each other, trying to see who's going to be first. And I won't be paying attention. I usually don't pay attention to the ones that are doing that. But, they don't...
So they're bullying one another to be the first in line to communicate with you.
Oh, sure, they do. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So do you think that they bully one another for other reasons as well?
You know what? I mean, we hope that they don't do that, but I'm afraid that they do that, Angela. I do believe that there are bullies out there, as in life, like in death. I do believe the fact is that, there's ones that are more controlling than the others, unfortunately. And there's, I have it clearly on an EVP that I have, that I recorded in my garage when I asked the little girl spirit if she was afraid of the other spirits.
That's right.
I
remember that EVP.
She totally clearly answered me about it, and so, there has to be. I mean, here it is that she's in spirit, and she's telling me about what, answering me when I asked her, "Are you afraid of the other spirits?"
And didn't she say on that EVP she does not like the other ones or the others or something like that?
No, she answered me when I asked her, "Are you afraid of the other spirits?" And she says, "No, I'm not afraid of the other spirits, but they're not friends with the children anyways." And then she giggles. So, clearly that she did understand my question to her. I've caught her on an EVP quite a few times. Seen her in spirit quite a few times. Sometimes, she hasn't done it in a while, but she used to go in my daughter's room and play with some of the items in my daughter's room. And you could tell because the next morning they would be on the floor or they would be moved around, and she'd pick certain items, the glass little tiny ornaments that she would play, like the kind that you put on a little glass mirror.
Right.
The ones that you do, they blow them through glass and stuff, little tiny ornaments.
Now, is that the little girl that you've captured on film? She's blonde?
Yes.
Okay. I've seen her.
She comes and goes, one minute I think that she's finally just decided to go on home, and, months later she'll come back. So I don't know, it's just, she definitely has a fear about fully crossing over to the other side and being with her family, but, I'm hoping one day that she makes that decision and does the right thing with this, and, no child wants to be walking around, earthbound. It's very sad.
Yeah, I do feel it's very, very sad. I think that some of the children in spirit really don't realize that they have passed, or if they do, they're not quite grasping it, and they're waiting up for their mother or their father to come and get them.
Well, it's very sad, and the fact of it is you have to be real careful with children in spirit because they can become very attached, they can become very mean, and they can become very jealous. So you have to be very careful about the fact is that when you see a child in spirit, yes, especially us women have a tendency to want to mother them.
Right.
Well, that's fine and dandy, but the fact is that if you have living children and you start paying attention to them, sometimes that child and spirit becomes very possessive and very controlling because they don't want you to take the attention away from them. And they start acting up by actually trying to do things to harm your children. So, you know, you have a sweet little, you know, young child in spirit. Next thing you know, she's looking like a little bit like Linda Blair.
Right. And how spooky is that?
Oh, yeah, well, it can be. We had numerous of cases that, you know, had to do with the child in spirit. And it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty, Angela. So just be careful out there when you see a child in spirit. The first thing you want to do is just, you know, I mean, and for those, whatever your beliefs are, traditions are, you know, if you want to pray for them and, you know, and try to convince them to go into the light. But you just want to make sure you just don't start mothering them. You know, you don't want to be the mother to them. They've got parents. They just need to go find them.
Yes, but not all children, you know, in spirit have parents in spirit. They have parents that are still here. So
that's true.
That's not always possible.
Very true, but they've got some sort of relative. I mean, my gosh, you know, there is some sort of relative or somebody that they can trust in spirit. Even if they don't have that, you know, I mean, your belief system's on angels, and you know, when the majority of people have angel belief systems there, you can always ask them to help.
So as a psychic medium, Tuesday, do you generally get adults that communicate with you?
No, not the majority of them, no. I would say all kinds of, you know, whether it's adults, there's animals. I get a lot of animals that come through. I get, you know, and children, all ages, really, basically, Angela. All ages, all, you know, types of deaths, from natural to unnatural to some that's been murdered, some that's been, you know, suicide. I mean, there's all kinds. You know, and you get used to the sensation that when they approach you, it's almost like, you know, whether you have that pain in your heart, or it's like, for instance, that I keep feeling like a labored breathing, like I'm getting one that's probably died, because the fact is that they had trouble breathing.
Right.
You know, you just learn to feel. You start trusting and understanding that sensation of your own body that you're getting when one of them approaches you or you're reading them. You know, and which is very helpful to yourself, although it's uncomfortable for a few minutes. But it's helpful too to recognize really what they're about and know a little bit more about them. It's more validating, I think.
Well, yes, I you know, you have to have some sort of validation, especially if you're communicating to the loved ones here in this earth plane. You have to have something very significant to pass forward. Otherwise, it's just, you know, it could be viewed as fluff.
Well, I don't really think the fact is that they come up and say to you that, you know, in order to identify me, this is how I died. It's more something that we look for to validate even more for that person, for that spirit that's coming through. When we're giving messages to other people, you know, it's just part of that connection.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
So it's, you know, like I said, it's not always pretty, you know, and I've actually waiting for them to step back. I still have quite a crowd behind me, so they're still all. You know, and it's funny because in my house, because this is my space, you know, and you know, the fact of it is, hearing chatter from them, I don't care for their chatter. I don't care to hear somebody else's voice in my head. So, you know, in my house, that's shut off. So it's sometimes the fact is that I'll get them all behind me, and if they're not understanding that part of my gifts are shut down for a reason that I don't care for, you know, it sometimes gets harder for me to, you know, relay messages, and I don't always work from my home.
Right.
You know, this is my own space. I like to have at least some quiet time with this.
Well, you know, like you said, you know, with Rita Berkowitz coming on shortly in a few minutes, perhaps they are indeed gathering around to maybe put the two of you together.
Oh, well, I'd say, but somebody's definitely, you know, has, you know, with the ocean smell, with the clams, or with the fish taste, the heavy breathing, the labored breathing, or even the suffocation. You know, it feels like a suffocation sense.
Right.
That it might have to do with her.
Well, Tuesday, I'm very excited about our guest coming up in August. We have Dr. Deborah Falk, and she, for those that are fans of Braveheart, those that have followed the history of Wallace, will certainly want to tune in to the show, because Dr. Deborah Falk has a very interesting story. She did a lot of research overseas in Scotland, so stay tuned for that. And then we have Peter Victor, and he's a psychotherapist. Did you know that Peter has traveled all over the world and has had meditations with the Dalai Lama and other high spiritual leaders? So Peter is going to be joining us to talk about his work, as well as showing us really, or telling us about the best meditations to use for ourselves.
Yeah.
We've got Angelina Diana coming in.
You know, she's very popular.
She is very popular. She does the Signs of Life radio with the Forever Family Foundation. For those of you who are not familiar with Angelina Diana, very accurate medium. And then we have Nadine Lalich. Tuesday, what is this about Nadine Lalich I keep on hearing about?
Oh, you know what? She's got an incredible story, and she's been an contactee for a very long, actually mostly all her life. So she finally opened up about it, came out, what she would say, which this is quote her words, came out of the closet about 3 years ago and decided to write about it. And, you know, I've listened to several, contactees or abductees and their stories and stuff. You know, there's just something believable about hers. There's just something that, you know, when she talks, she just listens. I mean, you're just like in awe because you can't help but not believe her. You know, because there's just so many things about it. But, you know, I dream about her, my questions I have for her. I really do. I've just got tons of questions. I can hardly wait for her to come on.
Well, I know that there's a long-anticipated book called Alien Experiences that she is releasing. So I think that's due out sometime this month.
Yeah,
in fact, no,
soon.
actually, it was released July 8th, looking at my notes here.
Soon it was. If not already, I think it was. And so I'm going to be meeting with her in a couple weeks. And so, you know, and not so much to interview her, but to do a reading with her. So that, you know, we'll have to share that afterwards.
Well, just don't go alone.
Oh, my
we
gosh.
don't want to hear your story about being abducted.
I don't want to be abducted, no. Please. You know, that's one of the questions I have for her, actually. Anyways, Angela, we got to go to break, and when we return, we will have our guest joining us today, Rita Berkowitz.
And stay tuned to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio.
Yep, we'll be back in a minute. Angela, what's her number?
I'm sending that to him now.
Okay.
Thank you.
And hi, Rita. This is Tuesday.
Tuesday. Great name, huh?
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Great.
Good. Are you the one with the New England connection?
Yes.
Okay. And so, what is clam chowder for you?
Clam chowder is the most wonderful, creamy, clam, potato, onion, herbs, fabulous soup.
And so the ocean would mean something to you then also?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, well, you got your relatives that are all behind me.
Oh, fabulous.
Okay, who is the breathing? Okay, because the fact is I'm getting a really heavy labored breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I almost have to say that I feel like there's suffocation here. And it could be not the fact that they suffocated, but the fact is that this is really a cause of their death because it's just...
That could be a couple of people I know.
Oh, I've got about 20, 30 of them behind me. You've got a large family.
Yeah. It's pretty wild when people meet me that are psychic or mediumistic. They, oh my God, look at all the people around you. Yes.
Yes, they came in about a half an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
One by one, and I kept noticing through the door, and I kept going, hello, who are you? Okay, there's more. You got more? There's more. And I kept nodding, there's more, there's more.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. Oh, we can step back just a little bit because for some reason they just wanted to come over here and join us tonight.
Well, I think that's absolutely fabulous. I think the more the merrier. Isn't it wonderful?
Yes. I wish I could draw them.
Well, that's my job.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, see, now we know who the connection is with, Angela.
I know. Rita, she was complaining. She says, oh, my goodness, I got 30 or 40 people behind me, and I keep on tasting like clams or something like this. I smell the ocean.
Well,
I'm having breathing problems.
We live very close to the coast.
Wow.
And, clam chowder around here is just absolutely incredible. But if we're going to clam chowder, it's got to be my husband's family. My family came from New York, and clam chowder is a little different there. Or it could be, I have a lot of friends that did go to the higher side during the 80s and early 90s. So it could be some of them also. But, clam chowder is one of my specialties, so you have to come on up to New England and taste it.
Okay.
Oh, sounds good.
Okay, yeah. Oh, bet. Okay, now we know where that's from. I'll just have to have
Well, I've heard a lot about you, Rita. A lot about you.
Well, thank you. Well, you've got, who am I talking to, Tuesday?
This is Angela.
Angela, okay. I want to go back to Tuesday for a second. Is she still on the line?
Okay, Tuesday.
I'm here.
There.
Okay, because you've got a lot of people around you, too. Okay, I'm feeling a woman's vibration around you.
You are listening to the Paranormal Radio Network.
Okay.
And welcome back to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
And joining us today is Rita Berkowitz. Am I saying that right, Rita?
You are saying it perfectly, yes.
Welcome to the show, Rita.
Well, it's just wonderful to be here.
Thank you so much. You know what? We were just, as we were sitting in break a little bit, Rita connected with a relative of mine, and so I'm going to let you continue, Rita. And we'll go back to
I was hoping that we could continue. And I just have to say, like, the skies just opened up here with the most torrential rains and lightning and thunder, so we've got some good, powerful energy tonight. But I was seeing a woman around you who's, I would say, on a day like today, her hair would have just absolutely frizzed out. I'm seeing the hair as grayer in tone. I'm seeing her as, I want to say, moderate height, and I want to say slightly substantial figure. Not heavy, but definitely curvaceous body.
I understand.
And
that, yes.
as I'm feeling her, she was talking to me about you doing a lot of cleaning up, and I want to say literally as well as metaphorically.
Yes.
So it feels like you're sort of pulling everything together. You're pulling your facts together. You're pulling information together, because it feels like right now you're in the gathering stage, and then you're going to disseminate the information. And I feel like it's going to be happening in two ways. I feel like it's going to be happening written, and I feel like there's going to be something, either a video or I feel like I'm doing something in media where I feel like I'm going to be in front of a camera. You understand?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So this lady seems to be very excited, but I want to say she's going to be over your shoulder, absolutely over your shoulder, making sure that every detail is looked upon.
Wow.
Okay?
Oh, I'm speechless. I understand that. Oh, completely understand it. And that was just, wow. Angela.
Well, I'm just sitting here floored, Rita, I have to tell you, because I do keep up with Tuesday, and you hit everything so right on.
Oh, beautiful.
Tell me, how do you do this, Rita?
Well, for me, it's quite it's wonderful. Sometimes I almost feel like it's voyeuristic because a movie goes on, and that's what happens for me. My first teacher used to say, Rita, are your television tubes warming up, for those of us who are old enough to remember television tubes? And what happens to me is, when I heard Tuesday's voice, for instance, all of a sudden the vision of this woman just came to me as if she's standing and I do feel like she's standing here in this room with me. And, so I just give out the description and give out whatever sensations I'm getting about the person. So for me, I feel, I'm a clairvoyant, no question about that part, but I also clairsentiently experience the person's personality and many times how they passed, and then it's like they are impressing me with the information about the person. So it's a wonderful mixture of different spiritual techniques that happen with me. All of the clairs, shall we say, will come through. You all understand what I mean by that, or
yes,
should I explain that?
Yes, clear seeing, clear smelling.
Yeah, clear aroma, clear gustance, which is my favorite because I get to taste everybody's cooking.
Oh, that's what I just experienced. Okay.
Isn't that wonderful? Yes, you did.
I did,
You did,
yes.
with the clam chowder that you were talking about.
Right. Well, see, this is just before we were talking about this before you came on, and I had said to our listening audience, I said, I keep smelling the ocean, and I keep getting the taste of clams, and I keep getting a New England sourness, and so, and I'm having trouble breathing, and so, and I've got about 20 or 30 spirits behind me, and when you came on to the phone, and I had asked you, do you have this connection, and she's yes, I'm thinking, oh, now, after you validated that, though, Rita, my breathing is back to where it should be.
And that's what happens, isn't it, that once the information is given out, once the information is shared, then whatever symptoms you're experiencing seem to dissipate, and you don't feel them anymore. And so it's just the communicator that is letting you know that they, in fact, have had that particular problem.
Amazing.
It
Amazing.
is.
But I really feel the person you have, Tuesday, is my friend David, because I used to make soup for him.
Okay. Oh.
And he and I shared a lot of fun times in New England together, and I can feel his energy now, almost overwhelmingly so. So I just feel, I'll use a bad term, I'm a little verklempt right now.
Well, Rita, when did you first recognize your abilities?
Well, I was about 13 years old, and a friend gave me a Ouija board for a birthday present, and I came from an Orthodox Jewish family. And we were sitting in the living room, and we were, playing with the Ouija board, and all of a sudden I was answering things on the Ouija board that my mother knew I shouldn't know the answers to, people's names and so on and so forth. And she got very nervous and threw it away. And really, I was not interested in spirit communication or, very much in psychic phenomena. For years, friends kept dragging me for readings. I would always get these great readings, and that's very interesting, that's very nice. And then I was in my, early 30s, and I ended up at a party. It's a very fascinating story, because I ended up being at a party where I should not have been there, and neither should the person that I met. So we were both dragged by different people. And at that party, there was a gentleman from the FBI, believe it or not, who was talking about parapsychology. And we were chatting. The other woman came up. And anyhow, we connected. She convinced me by buying a painting of mine, because I was an artist, to take a psychic development class. And she would pay for the psychic development class for me, and she got the painting in exchange. And I said, okay, I'll go with you. And I really did it just to be a friend. And when I went there, for me, it was like Fun with Dick and Jane, which is the old, elementary school primer.
Right.
That I would start to do the exercises, and it was like, okay, it was like nothing. But my unusual talent is the art and drawing spirits. And so the two of us went to a place called the Swampscott Church of Spiritualism. And there was a woman, a wonderful medium, Barbara Farewell, who kept saying to me, you're going to be a spirit artist. And I used to literally say, get away from me. And she said, no, I know you're going to be a spirit artist. I'm getting this. You're going to be a spirit artist. And one day, literally, to just quiet her down, I said, okay, I will come to your office and I will try this. And so I went to the circle that she had, and I did 3 drawings. The first was a spirit guide, the second was a middle-aged man, the third was an adolescent boy. And the man that I drew the adolescent boy for took out his wallet, took out a photograph, said, this is my son, I can't thank you enough. And I'll tell you, I was scared to death. Not because of the fact that, I connected with a dead person, but I realized at that point an awesome responsibility was given to me, and that I couldn't say no anymore. And my life totally changed from that point on. And I looked over at the woman who I drew the middle-aged man for, who was sobbing, and she said, this is my father. And, so then what do? You can't say, well, forget it, I'm not in the mood, or I had other plans for my life. Because this is one of those times where, God, the universe, however you want to say it, gave me one of those moments like, lady, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
And you do it so well, Rita. I've seen your work. I recently watched a television show that you had appeared on, and watched you draw a spirit of a young girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I was not only impressed, but I was flabbergasted. So you're very well rounded, and there's no question about who you're drawing at that time. So from this experience that you've just described to us, Rita, had you been seeing the spirits before, but you weren't drawing them?
Yes, I saw them. But, again, when I took the psychic development class, we had done an exercise called transfiguration. And transfiguration, for the listeners who may not know what that is you put a light in front of a medium, and and it's a soft red light or candle light, and you watch the face change. Mm-hmm. Well, in the first class that I took, the teacher tried to photograph it, and you need an infrared camera to photograph spirit, and she was using a regular flash camera, and so the image dissipated. And I said to her, if I can see it, I can draw it. And people started to say, oh, that's what I'm seeing too. But it's one thing to have that's what I'm seeing too, to somebody taking out a photograph and saying, that's my son.
Exactly.
And so in that, that's where the crucial change, was made. Before that, when I had seen the faces and the images, so on and so forth, even though I was seeing them, I didn't always know whether it was real. Is it my imagination? And that's what, any of us who teach know that students will say that at the very beginning. Is this my imagination? Is this spirit? As a child, I used to draw faces all the time, and my mother would say, who are you drawing? And I'd say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but see, Rita, I always say that, and I always say, I'm not bragging, but I have exceptional sight also with spirit on it. But, I go to draw them, and they look like sick people. So,
well, I always say spirit will use whatever talents you have.
Well, see, this is what we were going to ask you, because is your drawing almost like a form of automatic writing where spirit is actually...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
God, I knew it.
So what happens for me many times, and I will tell you, one of the most nerve-wracking things that can happen is to be at a den, and all of a sudden, you hear trust. I say, come on, show me the face, show me the face, show me the face.
Yeah, right.
Trust. And you just let your hand go, and it goes flying across the page.
Yeah, because, see, we were really discussing that, about the fact is that, because there's got to be something Spirit's doing with your hands, because
it is. It takes over.
People.
I mean, yesterday I was doing a spirit drawing for a woman. It was a phone reading, and it was her mom, and her mom had this unusual flower in her hair. And I was watching my hand draw it. And it's fascinating to think of it that way, but I watched my hand do the drawing. And I was watching, I said, if I had thought about how I would put that flower in the hair, it would probably take me hours to figure out how to do that. And it took about 30 seconds.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That is just so unfair.
And so
it's just unfair, because and I've looked for actually somebody who is an artist that I could describe to them what I'm seeing, and they're saying, and I always hear them try it yourself Tuesday, and I'm like, you know what, I give up, because I'm getting stick people, and the nose on this looks like it's an elephant's trunk, so that's just not the case,
But Spirit will use the gifts you have, for instance, like, I was talking to a friend some years ago who was a medium also, who does writing. And we noticed that when we would do demonstrations together, that the information that I gave and the information that she gave was very different, even if we might be connecting to the same person. Because with her, they were giving, alliterations of what the person was like. And with me, it was a lot of visual stuff.
Do you think that different psychic mediums, Rita, offer different pieces of the puzzle?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a wonderful medium, Janet Nahovac. I don't know if you know her. She's from New Jersey.
Okay.
And we just did a demonstration together last month, and we were bouncing off each other. And so it was this, she was talking, I was drawing, I would give some more information, she would give a little information. And, technical term is linking into a link. But, so we were both linking to the same communicator and giving different pieces of the puzzle, as you say. So, yes, that can definitely be done. And if you think about, I always suggest to people to, not to come too often to mediums. If they've lost someone, go to a medium, digest it, go on. But there are some people that will go from medium to medium to medium to medium. You know that.
Yeah, we've seen that.
True.
Yeah.
And I feel like what they're trying to do is to get as much information as they can, because they're having trouble accepting that their loved one is still with them. And
accepting
are desperate
that their loved
for that.
one is still with them?
Yeah, I think they're desperate for it, but are having trouble accepting it. If they're going to medium, if they're going from one medium to the next.
Right.
Because if they accepted it, they wouldn't need to do that.
That's true.
That's true. So they're going from, okay, she's going to tell me this one, he's going to tell me this piece, and so finally, and then maybe after going to 6, 8 mediums, they finally say, okay, I know my loved one is still with me.
Right. Or they're okay.
Or they're okay.
Right. And I find that a lot from people who are caretakers of their relatives before they pass.
Right. I mean, that usually is the hardest. If you've been the primary caretaker of the person who is deceased, that's the hardest thing, because the void is so much greater.
Oh, absolutely. Aw.
So it is, it is a sad piece.
It is. We're getting some questions in our virtual auditorium about guides, and I noticed that on your site that you have done some portraits of people's guides.
Mm-hmm. Love to do that.
One of them we're asking is, do you have any that come in a non-human form? as a guide? Maybe, does she ever get spirit guides that are not human?
I have.
There you go on it. And so...
And I've gotten both animal and occasionally some kind of being that I don't recognize, from this plane.
Right.
So that can happen also.
Now, do you doubt yourself what you're seeing then when you're getting something that you don't recognize as far as knowing exactly what type of energy it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I can only say it this way, that when it has happened, and it's only been a few times that it has happened with somebody who was so opened to what might come in from the higher realms that they were willing to accept it.
Okay.
If, Mary Smith comes in who's lost her Uncle Joe, that's not usually what comes in. Uncle Joe will come in.
Okay.
But many times people that are on an extreme spiritual path, that have reached up to the higher realms, that have been doing work, whether we're talking about going up to the angelic realms or people that have even worked with extraterrestrials.
Okay.
And that's not usually what I do, but occasionally that does happen, and I have experienced that, yes. And when the angelic realms come through, it's magnificent.
And we want to talk about that because with the book, one of the books that you had written actually on it, and I'm going to go back to this, and it's actually you're empowering your life with angels.
Mm-hmm.
How can they help us as far as empowering our lives? Explain that a little bit.
Well, it's very simple. Of asking, you shall receive.
Okay.
And so, for instance, before I do my work, I ask the archangels to be with me. I ask them to be present with me in doing my work. Gabriel is the communicator, Michael is the healer, or the defender, Raphael is the healer. So you know that in doing the work that we do, you want that energy, you want it to be healing, you want it to be good communication, you want it to be protected, you want it, So in bringing the archangels in to help me do the work, that's
do you think that when they protect us, though, when you say that, is it to teach us how to empower ourselves or literally protect us?
Both.
I always ask this question to everybody, what are they protecting us from?
Probably ourselves.
I was about to say.
I mean, okay, and I'll elaborate on that. Think of it this way. Many times, you asked me if I saw something really strange, did I doubt it?
Okay.
Okay. So what is getting in the way when I am doubting? Is it what's coming from spirit or is it me?
Most of the time, ask.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when I ask them to be with me, I am asking them basically to protect me from my own doubt.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Now, Rita, you have co-written a book called Empowering Your Life with Angels. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Okay, Empowering Your Life with Angels is a wonderful book that talks about angels of all sorts, okay, because I believe that angels come to the earth plane, and they work with us many times in people that can touch our lives for 5 minutes and help us to move forward, give us guidance, give us inspiration. And, there is one chapter of When Are You an Angel? Because think of the times that you've just gone out of your way for no reason at all to help somebody, to be there for somebody. So I believe that the angelic realms sort of flow through us to do these acts of good. My favorite chapter in the book is chapter 7, which is the chapter The Fallen Angels. And on the earth plane, the fallen angels, I believe, are those people who sometimes are the most difficult ones in our lives. But the people who have helped us to move forward in a way that we would not have done if they didn't push our buttons in the way that they did.
Right, right. So, a lot of people, Rita, don't really know how they feel about angels, whether or not they truly exist, what would you say to those individuals listening to the show about angels and about their doubt?
Well, one thing I could say is once you've experienced it, it's overwhelming.
I agree.
And the other thing that I can say is doubt is a healthy thing. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can go beyond the doubt, I always laugh because you can get somebody who calls themselves an atheist, and yet at a moment of need, they're asking for all sorts of help.
Oh, yes. Oh, isn't that true?
And so they're praying to everybody. And they're asking the angels to come in, and they're asking God and the goddesses and everything else to come in, and the saints and, whatever their, religious background may have been, even though they're swearing they're an atheist, they're calling at everybody to help them.
So they've really had a belief all along that there is a God and angels, etc.
Absolutely.
But they just didn't acknowledge that.
I
Now,
think,
Rita, you are a reverend, an
Yes, I
ordained
am.
minister in the Spiritualist Church. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Wow. Now, is that with the First Spiritual Church of Quincy?
That is the First Spiritual
Massachusetts?
Church of Quincy, correct.
Is that not the oldest church in Massachusetts?
Huh.
Or one
I
of the
believe it is. As a matter of fact, our original charter was 1893.
Wow.
And we started as the Ladies' Aid Society because at that point you couldn't say you were a spiritualist church or you got in a lot of trouble.
Oh, true. Yes. Okay.
And so we started back in 1893, and that's when the chart. That's how old our congregation is. So I believe now there were older. I'm not sure if the Wigwam in Onset, Massachusetts, is a place called the Wigwam. I don't know. They were a spiritualist camp, and it's one of the oldest spiritualist camps. And actually, the first spiritualist camp was in Massachusetts, but that no longer exists.
Let's hold that thought, and we got to go to break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio with your host, Tuesday Miles and Angela Thomas, and our guest, Rita Berkowitz. We'll be back in a few minutes. Oh, I can have her. I can have.
You are listening to the Paranormal Radio Network.
Welcome back to Paranormal Talk Radio. Tuesday Miles and Angela Thomas.
And welcome back to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
And joining us today is Rita Berkowitz, and from The Spirit Artist. Now, that's your website, isn't that right, Rita?
TheSpiritArtist.com, absolutely.
And check it out because, her drawings, her spirit art is absolutely amazing. I after viewing them, I looked them over and over and over again, and I thought, God, this is really, I want to draw like that.
Well, just to be able to have a portrait of your loved one from the other side is, something that I think everyone dreams about, Rita.
Well, for me, it's an amazing process to be able to do it, and that at times when I'm sitting with somebody and you see, sometimes, like the other day, I had a woman who, jumped behind me. She said, "Let me watch you draw," because usually I'm across the table. And she said, "Can I stand behind you while you're doing this?" And I said, "Absolutely." And she's watching the face appear on the paper. And that, to me, is probably the most exciting part of doing this, is that, I'm doing this drawing, I'm trusting what Spirit's giving me, I'm letting my hand flow, and I'm watching their face. Mm-hmm. And as the face appears on the paper, and the person sitting opposite me, or in this case standing behind me, is recognizing what I'm drawing, it is such a phenomena that I've said if I haven't proven it to anybody else, I've proven it to myself, that life is definitely continuous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And this is such a tangible way. I mean, I have to say I feel remarkably blessed to be able to do this work because of the fact that it is a very tangible piece.
So, Rita, do you travel around the world doing your work, or do you basically stay in one particular region?
I travel sometimes. I do most of my work I do in New England. I have traveled to England. I've traveled down the coast. I've gone out to California. I usually say I'll travel where I'm invited. And so I love to travel. But, you know, I'm busy. So if I get an invitation, I arrange the time to go and love doing it. And if, you know, the phone's not ringing for whatever reason for that, then I'm booked up, quite a few months in advance. So I'm busy enough to stay here too.
And in California, where in California?
I was in L.A. as well as in Auburn.
Okay, not too far from me. We'll have to remember that next time you're out in California.
Okay, where are you?
I'm in Long Beach in California, so which is from Los Angeles, depending on what part of Los Angeles, but it's about a 35-minute drive for me.
Okay.
So it's not too far. Auburn's a little bit farther. A little bit more countryer.
Well, there's a wonderful
you'll just have
place.
to invite Rita to Long Beach, California, and I'll just jet out there with you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sounds fun. Sounds fun. I think we could do a demonstration together and have a good time.
Yes, absolutely. So, Rita, do you have a medium that you go to?
Because I sit in circles so much, if one of the British mediums come in, and we're lucky enough to have a lot of the Brits come in, I will go to a sitting with them. But I'm in circle usually twice a week.
Okay.
So I get so many messages.
Which is nice. It is nice.
Which is wonderful. When I'm teaching, there are so many times, for instance, the woman that you brought in during the break was brought in by one of my students who took the platform. This is actually her second time ever taking the platform for a service. And she was up there and brought in facts about her. And she didn't even know she was going to me. I think if she knew she was going to me, she'd be quite nervous. But she didn't know she was going to me, and she brought in, this very heavy-set woman who was a bookkeeper who had phlebitis, and went through this, list of things. And I'm sitting there saying, and she goes, I don't know, am I going over there? And she went to the back, and I usually sit in the front, and I said, you're over here, honey. And she's like, then a horrified look comes on the face. But, the facts that she brought in about Jean were absolutely incredible. But
well,
Jean's
Rita,
been around
tell our listening audience what a circle
is. Was wonderful.
Thank you. What was that, Angela? Say that again?
What is a circle, Rita?
Well, a circle is very much like the old-fashioned seance. And in part of the teaching process, when I run a class, we do usually a healing and then an exercise, and then we run circle. And a circle is, technically it can be anywhere from 4 to 25 people, and you would sit in a slightly darkened room, and it doesn't have to be, because you can do it during the daytime too. And so we would sit in meditation for a little while, and then we would open the circle up to spirit communication. So I usually would lead the group through a meditation, and then I say the circle is open. At that point, whoever has anything, whoever is connecting to a spirit, would bring it forth. So, like I have a beginners group that just started 2 weeks ago, and last night, in a case like that, I usually will give the first message just to get the energy moving. But, different people will give messages, and that's how they're learning how to do this. It's part of their learning process. So in doing this, because I'm sitting in circle once a week with my class at my office and once a week with the class at church, I do get a good number of messages. My people are very talkative, as Susie has experienced tonight. So.
Yes, I'm fascinated just listening to the two of you go back and forth.
So,
Rita, you wrote a book called The Complete Idiot Guide to Communications with Spirits.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that book?
I love that name.
I love the name. Well, the Idiot's Guide series is a series of books, and they've done everything from dealing with heart disease to learning about football to communicating with spirits. So, and it's a fascinating story. If they contacted me, I got this little email that said, "Are you interested in writing a book about spirit communication? If so, when can I call you?" And I emailed back, knowing nothing about this, and responded to them, "How is 10 a.m. tomorrow morning?" And I got this phone call from an absolutely phenomenal woman who is the producer. And we started chatting and hit it off amazingly well. And then she said, "Okay, I'm going to email you an outline." And she emailed me the outline, and I emailed her back, and I said, "This is not good stuff. You do not want this in your outline." And she said, "Why?" And I explained why. And then she said, "What would you do?" And, and why? And I explained that. And then she said, "Well, you obviously know what you're talking about." And we went ahead and wrote the book. Now, this is one of the most wonderful parts, because at that point, I used to say, all these mediums told me, "You're going to have a book, you're going to have a book, you're going to have a book." And I said, "I hate to type." And they said, "No, you're going to have a book."
I hear you.
And I used to laughingly say, "The only way I will have a book is if somebody else types it for me." Well, the co-author, Deborah Main, called me up and said, "Let's do this book together." I work for Alpha Books, which produces the Idiot's Guide series. And she said, I said, "My typing is not great." She said, "Don't worry about it." She said, "You tell me everything you want in this book. You just say it to me. I'm a newspaper reporter, and I can type as fast as you can speak."
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Didn't happen for the second book, but it did happen for the first one.
Nice.
So by the
she
second one,
transcribed everything you said.
say again?
She transcribed everything
She transcribed
you said.
everything I said. She would then email it to me for me to proof.
Oh, nice.
I
We
know,
all
it
want
was a
those.
blessing. It absolutely, I said, I knew it was a gift from the gods because of that.
Oh,
Because there is
absolutely.
no way I would have sat and typed the whole book.
Well,
Where can we get this book, Rita?
You can get it at Amazon. You can get it Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Barnes & Noble bookstores carry it. Borders Books carries it. And a lot of the New Age bookstores. So it's
And
available.
we also have a link on the PortalTalkRadio.com site on Rita Berkowitz's page, and you can have a direct link to purchase the book, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Communicating with Spirits.
Well, you've made it to the big guys, Rita, because if you've made it inside the store.
What were the chances of that happening? I really feel...
Would you ever have thought, the fact of it is that you were a published writer inside a bookstore? I mean, that's amazing. That's a hard thing to do.
It's a hard thing to do, and again, Spirit brought it to me, which is one of the things that was amazing. And that's why I truly believe that part of my purpose is to get the word out there, that life is continuous. That,
That's true.
because
Right.
this is not what I planned for my life, and yet they keep giving me step after step after step after step after step. And, I've never pursued it. It's come. And so, if things flow, it's meant to be.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. I believe in that, too, on it. But do you think that if we all really believe that there's an afterlife, that the fact is we'll be reckless with the life we have now?
No.
Okay, I hope
No.
because that's not the word we're trying to get out.
No, definitely not. As long, we know that there's an afterlife. And, one of the things that we say as spiritualists is we believe in reformation of the human spirit at any time, here or hereafter. So, in fact, if you did mess up a little here, you can rectify it there. As a matter of fact, you have to rectify it there. But the more work we do on our spiritual development on this side of life, the easier the process is on the higher side.
Okay.
The easier the transition is. I mean, have you, I've been with many people who have, in the process of passing, and through very severe illnesses. And somebody who is spiritually evolved, who's done a lot of work here, goes through a very different process. You see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not that, it's not that difficult things don't happen, because it does. But the difference is how you respond to it, how you flow with it.
Do you find, Rita, that people become more spiritual as they find out that they're going to pass soon?
I feel, my experience and some of the friends that, Tuesday has experienced with me, I was an artist in an area in the south end of Boston in the 1980s, and that's when the AIDS epidemic hit. So I know that a lot of the people that she was picking up are those people. And I went through the process with a good number of people. And what I experienced was the people that became spiritually evolved had a much easier time going through the process. And the ones that got very angry usually had a tougher time.
Do you think that they believe that there was an afterlife, or there is an afterlife, Rita?
Yes. The angry ones?
The angry ones.
I think the angry ones were afraid. I think they didn't know.
They weren't quite convinced.
Right.
They weren't quite convinced, right.
And I've seen that with a dear friend of mine who was, it wasn't so much that he didn't believe in God or believe in any of that, but the fact is he was very mad at God and lost his faith with that. But the time where he was passing, started asking for me to pray for him.
Right, and you see the coming back.
So, which kind of threw me, because during our whole friendship, there wasn't, he was, very adamant about stating that he didn't believe any of that stuff, and then asked to be prayed for. And I thought, okay, are we changing our mind now that because we're at death's door?
I think it's a different thing. If I may, I feel like what happens many times is that when they get closer to death's door, it's not that, all of a sudden, boy, I better, some people say, well, I better do it fast now, just in case. I think actually what happens is they start to experience it. And, how many times have we been with people that are getting ready to pass, and they start talking about loved ones that they haven't talked about in years?
Right.
Or they, call me and say, I'm seeing this person walk around my house. My friend's mom, when she was getting ready to pass, my friend called me up and said, you got to come over, because my mom's, totally freaked out. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, she's seeing this man walking around the house. And so I went to the house, and I said, yes, I described the man. I said, he was your uncle. He's from Brazil, and, and she was Brazilian. And I said, described all the features and so on and so forth. And she said, well, yeah, that is my uncle. And then got really scared and said, why is he here? I said, he's here to let you know it's okay.
So those that are in that transition, Rita, do you feel like the spirits that are coming in are actually visiting them and helping to prepare them to go? Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, my own mom, when she was getting ready to go, my dad passed 20 years before her. And my mom didn't talk about it all that much. And the last couple of months before she was ready to go, or before she went, she talked about it constantly. And at her passing, and this was fascinating to me, because as a medium, being with your own mom when she's passing, and part of me was saying, I wanted to watch. And the other part of me was grieving incredibly. And I saw my father come to get her. And I saw my father take her, lift her out of her body, and as my mother always would, not now, and went back in.
What
I
a
watched
blessing.
it happen 5 times.
Oh.
And the thing that was fascinating to me, because my mom was 88, And the thing that was fascinating to me was she looked like she did when they were dating. Now, I'm her youngest child, so I obviously didn't know what she looked like then. And I went searching and searching and found a photograph with her wearing the hairdo I saw.
Oh.
Her wearing when she was, in fact, lifted out by my dad.
I love this stuff.
That's an amazing story.
You know, and so for me, you know, look at that, not only evidence of continuity of life, but evidence of continuity of love.
The continuity of life and love.
Yeah.
Very wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I love that story. Angela, what do you think? Are you up to, Rita, are you up to doing one reading for one of our guests?
Absolutely.
Or one for our listeners?
Sure.
Okay. How do you like to do this, Rita? Do you like to hear the voice of the person?
I like to hear the voice of the person. If they have somebody specific they're hoping to connect with, or if they have a specific question, or they want to connect with their guide, just let me know what direction I'm going in, and then I'll take over from there.
Okay, let's see if we can get this to work right, because sometimes this doesn't work right, so let's cross your fingers, people. Okay, let me make sure we have the first person. John, are you there? John, Eternal Being, are you there in our virtual auditorium? If you're there, say yes. Yes, okay. John, what we'll do is we'll drop the mic. Do you know how to key up on the mic, right? Let me make sure they understand the directions. You're here. Okay, do you know how to key up on the mic, John? You know the protocol. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead and key up on the mic, and we'll have a station manager drop it. Okay. No mic. Okay, well, there you go. Okay, Anna?
And we'll go on to the next person.
Yeah, Anna, are you there, sunrise to sunset? Do you have a mic?
We have a lot of listeners that have joined us in the virtual auditorium on paltalk.com. If you are interested in joining us for Rita Berkowitz, please go to paltalk.com under the social issues and into the Paranormal Radio Network.
Make sure. Are they listening to us? Okay, we're going to go on to the next one. If you're not listening, not paying attention, you guys, we're not going to sit here and wait all day long for you to twiddle your fingers. It's not going to do it. So, on it, she did. Okay, we didn't hear her again on it. Anna, come to the mic, why don't you?
Well, if nothing else, I'll step in line.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Rita. At the moment, our virtual auditorium is apparently in daze. So,
Angela, do you have a mic?
I certainly do have a mic.
Angela, got you. Go ahead.
Well, Rita, this is Angela.
Hi, Angela.
The portal host here.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you can tell me, bring anybody that's
there's a
close
gentleman
to me
that's around
deliver
you.
Messages or what?
There's a gentleman that's around you that I want to, that I feel, it's interesting because he's got a very unusual nose. It's very narrow at the bridge of the nose and then becomes, I want to say, a little bit wider and sort of squarish and a little bulbous towards the bottom of the nose. Mm-hmm. I am feeling that he is a little bit taller. I'm seeing a slightly receded hairline, darker hair. Do you understand this?
Yes.
And as I'm experiencing him, I'm getting a lot of pressure in the midsection of my body before he passed over to the higher side. I almost feel like he is the kind of situation where he had an indigestion, but it feels like, so I do feel like there were problems with the GI tract, but I'm also feeling there were problems with the heart also. You understand?
Yes.
And as I'm feeling him, he's very emotional as he's coming in here with you. As I'm experiencing him, it feels to me that I almost feel like, and you let me know if you understand or don't understand this, but I almost feel like when he was here on Earth, you guys didn't really speak the same language.
correct.
And so I'm feeling like you could have both been talking English and having no idea what the other one was talking about. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I feel like he's coming in, and I am overwhelmed with this because I feel like he is coming in with a lot of apologies. Because what you, I feel like almost were adamant about,
Right.
and he wouldn't hear you,
Right.
he's saying you were right.
Oh, she likes that.
You understand this?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay. And it took him a long time. Because I don't feel like he passed yesterday. I feel like he's been over for quite a while.
Right, that's correct.
And I feel like it took him a long time because he fought it tooth and nail when he crossed.
Right.
And he now has finally accepted.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And
That's
I'm
really
going to, and I really want to express love from this man. I'm choking up with this. Because, again, I feel like when he left, even though you knew each other, loved each other, it really wasn't expressed all that much, you understand?
Right. He was not a man of
gushy words, yes.
He didn't speak too many words.
But he is letting you know, through emotion rather than words, how much he does care.
Oh, well, Rita, thank you so much.
And
for
I'm
that
going to leave you with his love
reading.
and blessings of spirit.
I love this, Angela.
I do too.
We could just have her hang around all day long.
Well, like I said, we'll just have to have Rita fly out to Long Beach, California. I'll come out there, and we'll all hang together.
I think that'd be fabulous.
Okay, let's take our next one. If you can come up to the mic and give us your first name and your question first for Rita, please. And Sai, you're up. Sai Poet, you're up. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Joyce. I have a question for any spirit helper. I'd like to know if one of the situation will continue the way it is or improve. Anything that might say about my situation where I live. Thank you.
Okay, Joyce, I want to jump on that, and, if any of you two are getting anything also, please do. I feel like this is going to go on for a little bit longer, and I'm sorry to say that because I don't feel like you're comfortable where you are. I feel like you're unhappy where you are, but it feels like you are learning some heavy-duty spiritual lessons right now, and we know that those are not always the easiest things to deal with. I have to say, I feel like, and I hate to say this, I feel like 1.5 to 2 years before the change comes in.
Okay.
And as I'm experiencing this, I feel like they are saying to you, put one foot in front of the other one day at a time, and it feels like there's somebody else, and I'm feeling a male's vibration here on the earth plane that's making your life a little bit more difficult in this vibration, almost like he's an obstinate man. And I want to say to you to, again, one day at a time before this can all change.
Do you understand that, Joyce? She's saying yes, and she's got yeses all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah, she's right on. You're right on.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I want to say my heart goes out to you. My prayers go out to you. This is not an easy time for you. I'm getting a lot of love. Now, we talked earlier about the angelic realms. You have the most beautiful angel that is watching over you right now, and to please know that. And I'm also feeling a woman that is watching over you that feels to me, I want to go like she's about 5'2", 5'3". She's a little bit rounder in the body as I'm experiencing her. You're not, she is. And as I'm experiencing her, I'm feeling that the hair is grayer. It's very soft to the texture. It's got some wave to it. It feels like it's just a little bit, to the bottom of the neck and the back. And it feels like she had a lot of physical problems before she passed over. She's one of these little, what I call dumpling ladies, smaller in the breast, rounder in the tummy.
Her mother, who's she's saying your mother?
Okay, and she's right there with you, watching over you.
Oh boy, I just want to cry.
Yeah, I do too. I just want to cry with this because I can feel the pain that Joyce is going through. I can feel how difficult it is, and she's got to go. It's one of those things you just have to get through to get to the other side of it.
And absolutely, and Joyce, my prayers too go through my, whatever energy that we can give you to give you some strength. Just keep going. I know it just feels like you're so tired. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired, or sick and tired of being where you're at. And do you think this will get better for her? I mean, it's going to take what you said for 2 years. But
I feel like 18 months to 2 years, and then I almost feel like this break is going to happen.
Okay.
And it feels like a break. So it feels like whatever is going to happen is going to come on suddenly. So it doesn't feel like, okay, all of a sudden, I've saved up my pennies and I have enough money to move. It feels like something is going to happen suddenly that's going to break this process. And then she's going to be free. Because right now it doesn't feel like she's free.
No, it doesn't, and I feel like I just want to hug her,
right? Absolutely,
and let her cry, and get it out and tell her that it's okay.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely, Joyce. Please know that our love and our prayers are with you.
Okay. Absolutely.
And hang in there, honey.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome on that, Joyce. So hang in there, baby. Hang in there. Okay, Anna, are you there with us? Let's try Anna again, because I know that to make sure that she's listening to us.
Yes.
There she is. Can you grab the mic and ask your question to Rita, and give us your first name, please?
Well, hello, I hope you can hear me. My name is Anna. My question is, I'm having great difficulty with people at my work. It's rather difficult for me for a long time. I don't know when I'm going to see some relief from this situation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Anna, first I want to give you some technique, okay? Before you go into work, I want to white light myself, which means visualize the white light around you. When we talked before, we talked a little about doing protection. Sometimes we want to protect ourselves from other people's negativity. And so for you, I feel like you're in a work vibration where there are a lot of negative people. And so one of the other things I want to say to you is before you go into work, visualize a soft aqua light around your workplace to calm the energy down. So we can do a lot with visualization that we don't even have to write a note to Human Resources to say this is happening. You can do a lot by setting intention, by setting focus, and changing it. Now, I feel like there's a few changes going on in your work vibration. And as I'm experiencing this, I'm feeling that there are two people, and you know those old games that had the numbers where you moved them all around, until you got the 1 through 15. I feel like there are two people moving over to the side. There's one person moving up and out, and I feel like then things are going to calm down in the office. So this work vibration that you're in really feels like part of the problem is you've got some people around you that are just not the most positive people, and you're extremely sensitive. And that's what it feels like the problem is. So let's do a little metaphysical work with keeping yourself protected, keeping the light on the place where you work, because I don't feel like you have to change the job, you have to change the energy in the place.
I'm just surprised at people that, I keep feeling these women are very vindictive.
Exactly. And when those two women get to move on, and I feel them moving up and over to the side, so it feels like there's going to be some shuffling of, how certain places people shuffle around?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I feel like these two women, the vindictive ones, are going to be moving up and over to the side, so they're going to have a whole new group of people to really do their job on.
This is like harassment in a way sense. Do you feel like it's a harassment type on it?
I feel like it's emotional harassment. But I feel like, again, when something like this comes into our life, we have to look and see what we're learning from it.
Okay.
And sometimes it's to say, you know what, I don't need to take this. Somebody once said to me many years ago who was doing a job on me, nothing happens to you, you don't permit. And I always took those words with me. because I learned that by doing the right thing, not buying into their energy. When we buy into somebody else's negative energy, we become part of it. And so what I keep feeling with Anna is that, again, I feel like she's very, very sensitive. And these people are just, they're harassing her. They're not very nice to her. And so this is where the change needs to come.
Angela, did we just have an EVP on the phone? Hello?
Hello?
Okay, I got Rita.
Did we lose Angela?
I think we just lost Angela. I heard a beep. Did you hear the beep?
I heard the beep.
And then I hear nothing. Oh, my goodness. That was very strange.
That was.
Okay. Well, let me see if let's hold on for just a second. Let me see if we can get Angela. Angela, are you there with us in the virtual auditorium? Because I think we just lost her on that. Well, we're going to have to keep going on. We'll keep going on, Honor, see if we can bring her back in a second.
Okay.
All right. It doesn't surprise us, though, Rita, because we have had Spirit talk through the phone while we were on some of our shows, and it's been, it was like very strange. I'm online, but the phone line went completely dead, she's saying. Okay, keep going. She says for us to keep going. Okay, well, I get Rita all by myself.
Yay.
Okay, well, you know what? That was really good, and I feel for you there on it, Anna. Hang in there. The fact, like Rita did give you some really good advice there. You don't put up with something that that you wouldn't do unto somebody else. And the fact is that, maybe it's time to step up and, if you have to, with surrounding yourself with all that light and all that positive energy, maybe it will radiate out to somebody else. That's a tough situation.
I also feel like I want to put something happy in my workplace.
Well, yeah.
Like something like, a little happy Buddha or, a little statue of an angel or something where I work. That every time I feel the junk, I can just look at that and say, you know what, I'm not part of that.
Oh, absolutely. But, sometimes, Rita, we just want to get that pincushion doll.
I hear you.
We just want to stick that pin right there where the sun don't shine.
I know, but we know what karma does.
Yeah, I know, and it's like, okay, we were aware of the karma bit on that, but, it just,
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating. And that's really what the problem is. It's frustrating when somebody behaves like that.
Well, it is. It absolutely is. Especially when you're going to work. You need to have at least those 9 hours that you're spending at work.
It's exhausting enough to have a work day. But, I want to say to Anna, if she's still listening to us.
She is.
I want to say to her that the more you can learn to protect yourself and not buy into their energy, the easier your work day will be.
Oh. There you go.
And so this is a really good training for you.
And she's saying, thank you so much, Rita. She's really listening. Yes, it was very good. Thank you so much, Rita. She's
good.
On it. Wow. Okay, now I want to mention the event with Joanne Gerber.
Yes, we're very excited about that.
We like Joanne Gerber.
She's wonderful, isn't she?
She is wonderful. And, and I was sorry to hear her father passing.
Yes, that was very
But
very
what's
tragic.
really unique about, though, Rita, is when she called me to tell me her dad had passed, and we're talking, and all of a sudden I went, oh, my gosh, I smell meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went on, and it was so sweet. Her father came through, and one of the things which I have to say, Rita, it's amazing that when we get such a validation and information from Spirit.
Yes.
And, she went on to tell me that was her dad's favorite food was meatballs.
Yeah. I mean, I knew her dad.
Oh, great.
So, Joanne and I are friends.
Yes,
we hang out.
Yes.
And so I did meet her dad a few times.
Oh.
And he was just one of the most wonderful, sweet men. And, she's got her hands full right now.
She does.
With dealing with the home and everything else. But, I always say as mediums, we still grieve. And that grieving is very, very real. But on the other hand, they communicate with us so quickly. And that's just a magnificent thing. So she knows. I mean, she knows right from the beginning. Her dad communicated with her right after he passed. And because he had been in a coma for, I believe, a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But right after he passed, he started communicating with her.
Wow.
And
does that mean that she was ready for this?
he was ready, absolutely.
Okay, because I've heard mediums say that, the Spirit's not going to come and communicate with you unless you're ready for it.
And she was ready for it, and he was ready for it.
Okay.
And one of the things that, my experience has been, if somebody is really ready to pass, they communicate fairly quickly. If somebody was not ready to pass, either emotionally or tragically, somebody young, then it usually takes a little bit of time before they're ready to communicate. I usually tell my clients to wait a minimum of 6 weeks before trying to make a communication. Some people I've heard say 6 months. But, I have had people of my own that have passed that communicated with me the next day.
Wow, that's so fast.
It is. But that also lets you know that that they were absolutely ready. I'll share a story, which is just an amazing one. It was September of the year 2000, and my friend Dan Duffy, who was a medium, and we sat in the very first circle I was ever in. Duffy was sitting next to me. And when he passed, actually he told me a year before that he was going to pass, and he asked me to do his funeral service. And, of course, unfortunately sometimes mediums know this. And, of course, we go back and forth. You're not going to go, Dan. You're not going to go. And he fought cancer, and he beat the cancer and then had a brain hemorrhage.
Oh, boy.
A year.
Oh.
Okay?
That's so
it's September of the year 2000. And I used to always joke with him, and I used to say, are you going to help me in the church? And when he was here on the earth plane. So I'm driving across this beautiful bridge in Rhode Island to go do a group of readings. And I'm still a little teary and so on. So I said to him, okay, Duffy, so you're going to finally come and help me with the church? And he said to me, no, I'm going to have to help the young fireman, because he was a fireman.
Oh.
And a year later, almost to the day, was 9/11.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew at that point. And when I did his funeral service, because I did it in a place called Florian Hall, which is where the firemen meet. And I did his service there, and it was a full, the fire people do it almost like military, where they had, carrying in and the color guard and the bagpipes and, it was a major service kind of thing. And there was,
right.
And, and when I said that, and then a year later his son, and I didn't remember that I had said that. I remembered, at the service, and his son called me up and said, do you realize what's happened? And I said, it makes perfect sense.
What do we do with these spirits that come through and give us information that before a large catastrophe happens?
Pray.
Pray?
Pray.
Okay.
I've had it happen a few times. I actually painted something that looked very much like 9/11 when I was painting a series based on the tower. And it was 3 weeks after 9/11 that one of my daughter's friends was getting married, and I said, well, go upstairs to my, storage area and pick out a painting. And I heard these screams come from upstairs. And the painting was there, but it was done in 91.
Wow.
And it looks, it's what happened. And so it was the tower. My painting of the tower was exactly that. And so, why was that information given to me? There was one time that an earthquake, I'm sitting in circle at the church one night, and all of a sudden I'm hearing there's going to be an earthquake in Japan. Okay, what do I do?
Right. What is this for?
What do you do? What do you do? You get this information. And my feeling is that what we're supposed to do when we get that kind of information is to pray and to send the healing to the people who are going to be involved.
Oh, I agree with that, because I truly believe sometimes when we are given that information, it's not only for us on this side, but it's for those who are on the other side to prepare us.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and I think many times they do. A friend called me one time, hysterical crying, because she said she had a dream that her daughter lost her baby. She was pregnant, and her daughter had a miscarriage, and a week later her daughter had a miscarriage, and she thought the dream made it happen. And I said, the dream didn't make it happen. What actually happened is that Spirit was preparing you so you would know about it, and it wouldn't be a shock when it happened, because you had to be the strong one.
Wow. Well, we've got a few minutes left, so before that, we didn't get the date of what your event with Joanne Gerber and where.
Well, it's in New Hampshire. I'm so into what I'm doing, I totally totally lost that. It's the last weekend of October, and it's at the, oh my God, I should have it in front of me, and I'm sorry I don't. Wait, can you hold one second?
Sure, go ahead, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is the Inn at Pleasant Lake, and it's the Psychic Medium Spiritual Weekend, and it's from October 23rd to the 26th. We have events happening. We're doing private sittings Thursday and Friday, a circle Friday night, a demonstration on Saturday, and there's also the Inn also has wonderful gourmet food that they're going to be catering us, and we're going to have a seminar on Sunday. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and they can either go on JoanneGerber.com or thespiritartist.com and connect with us.
And to register is
1-800-626-4907.
Okay, good, because I got your page right in front of me, and I'm looking at it as you're reading it. You've got a lot of events actually going on in August, September, October.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Yeah, it's exciting. It really is. That's why I said, I'm always working, and I'm very excited about a lot of the events that are coming up. One of the things that I'm going to be doing also at the end of October is for the Plymouth Historical Society. We're going into a haunted inn, and we're doing a fundraiser, and I'm going to be taking a group around the haunted inn, and we're going to see what we experience, and then I'm going to do a message circle there.
Cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. I just wish I was out there with your area. I would be there in a heartbeat.
Well, it's going to be fun.
And your websites and your books we can get. We can go to the website. That's www.thespiritartist.com.
And you can actually link on it. We'll take you right over, I believe, to BarnesandNoble.com. And so you can order the books there. But you can just click on it on my site, and it takes you right over to Barnes & Noble.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And will you come back?
Absolutely. It's been absolutely delightful.
Oh, thank you so much. And we're going to end our show with that note on it today. And you've been listening to the show on UPRN 105.8 New Orleans on the Paranormal Radio Network. This is Portal Paranormal Talk Radio with your hosts Tuesday Miles and Angela Thomas. And today's guest was Rita Berkowitz. You can go on to our archives page on our website, which is portaltalkradio.com, and there's the archives that will be up on the show. Probably within a couple hours they'll be up there, and you can re-listen to the show if you'd like to. And I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody today in our readings, but there's just so many spirits out there and so little time.
Yeah.
So many spirits out there and so little time. I hear you.
If
you think do you have days off?
Do I have days off? Yes.
Oh, good. Because we really need to have one day a week that's to ourselves.
We really do. I really feel like that's very, very important to do. To have one day to sort of regroup and be just a regular, straightforward person, walking the earth plane, walking the supermarket, and going to the beach and doing all those wonderful things.
Oh, I hear you on that one, too. Well, it's been a wonderful show, and I thank you so much for joining us. And, Angela, thanks for joining us, too. We missed you.
And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. And, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you next week. And God bless. Take care of yourself and each other. Bye-bye.